Chris Thorndike, Factory Forged. Welcome to the Active Life podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. It's when I look around the landscape of people who are helping gym owners best serve their clients, I'm always looking for people like you because I think that you have a genuine interest in not only developing the gym and the gym owner, but I think that you take into consideration all of the parts, the coaches, the members, the experience, the fact that marketing is a thing, but it's not the thing. And so I have a lot of respect for the way that you do things. And I'm excited to discuss with you the things that we agree about and the things that we disagree about.
I appreciate that, man. And like I was saying earlier, likewise, I think there's few people that you connect with based on maybe having polarizing opinions, but also smart opinions of like, I could really see where he's coming from. So I always enjoy these conversations and know that we're going to dive into some real value here that is both informative but practical. So that at the end of the day, that's my purpose in wanting to hit all the angles. Because at the end of the day, this is not only am I a practicing gym owner, but this is how I think we innovate the industry through cutting into topics like this.
I find that fascinating, by the way. And I would love to start there. I can't imagine being good at both owning a gym and helping people own their gyms from an energy distribution perspective. For me, owning a gym, I don't know how much you know about my background, but I crashed and burned once with absentee management. That was the second one. The first gym, we lost in a hurricane. I had the wrong insurances, and that was that. And the third gym is still operational, and I basically exchanged it and my chiropractic clinic for the opportunity to pursue this online work. And the reason I did that was I knew what needed to be done. I was capable of doing it in spurts. I just was not the right person to be in the gym every day doing the thing. So I'm always impressed by people who can both do the thing themselves and teach people to do the thing. I'm the adage of if you can't do it, coach it, right?
Yeah, and I would say I've walked that walk many a times in terms of almost like this feeling of failing in your own footsteps. And then what I think I've developed is this discipline and resiliency of just saying, hey, like this didn't work. I need to either throw it out or make it easier to run. So as I just got more experienced, I really focused on ROI. And when I say I'm a practicing gym owner, yeah, I now am at a level where I can choose what to work on and what's most valuable for my time. So I do have employees, I do have a team, and likewise, I don't think I could be doing both things if I didn't have that organization, that system in place.
Definitely not. It's the adage of if you can't go on vacation for a month, you're not ready to run a second business.
Yeah.
I would say even longer than a month, but you follow.
Oh yeah.
So let's dive right into that. You have employees who are able to keep the mission of the gym, the infrastructure of the gym, all of the systems in the place running properly. And you're able to kind of manage the vision of how those things all play with each other. And I imagine you put some operational sweat into it, but not necessarily full time. To me, that says that you need to be able to create careers for people who are going to work in your business. Otherwise, you're going to constantly be turning over key positions, which is going to lead to members saying, hey, where did my favorite coach go? Where did the manager go? And that inconsistency can be just downward spiraling for any business, especially one that's a relationship type business like a gym. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it on the head as far as we're relationship businesses. So we have to recognize that there are things in place like relationships come and go. You're not going to hold on to every member. And I don't even think there's that expectation, I would say I place on myself to really be our members everything. So I apply that same thought process even to employees. And, it was fascinating to me when I go snowboarding every year, and I am just a curious person in general. I walk into a business, I want to know how it works. I start crunching the numbers. I'm like, how are they doing this? What's the profit? I'm a nerd like that. So
Same,
I'm on this
same.
mountain, and I show up to this snowboarding lesson that's supposed to have, like 8 people in it. I'm the only one. And the only one. And I'm like, man, how ironic is this? In
Right.
gym classes, everyone's coming. You get with like 1 or 2 people in a group.
Right.
And I started realizing the mountain and the business was really run on part-time people. There's only a handful of full-time. So as I study different models, Sean, what I realized is there's really the right model for where you're at in your growth cycle. And as I've grown over the years, I started this at 22. I'll be 36 this year, so I've been doing this a long time. And I would say that I've ebbed and flowed with different employee models, having high staffing, high payroll, all the way to my current model, what I call the lifestyle gym framework, and what we teach in our factory forge, to being very lean, being very efficient, and lifestyle and profit driven.
What does that mean, lifestyle driven?
I think when it comes to understanding what you want out of your business, you have to define your time, right? So from a lifestyle standpoint, most recently, I spent so much time and energy, and you probably can attest to this in your business, where I got to a point in my life where I wanted to work on myself or my family, or spend more time with my daughter. And I really looked at my time as what's work, what's me time, what is personal time with my daughter, what's relationship time. So I really started going a layer deeper and saying, if I could just divvy up all my time, what would my lifestyle look like? And a part of that was work, but I did not want to consume more of my life with work. So we really said, hey, if we're in control as business owners, we got into this industry and this career as someone who can control and have opportunity. What the heck is that going to look like in this next chapter of fatherhood for me? And that's where we really started taking time into consideration and probably placing a higher priority over money or income.
Well, so does that mean that your payroll is now higher, that you have more staff, or does it mean that you have less members and less to think about? In other words, when you talk about lifestyle, I think I understood what you meant when you said lifestyle. What I'm not understanding, and that I want to understand, is how that looks at the business level.
Yeah. So what that really means is we created a formula to figure out the money. Okay. The money side represents, what do I need to live? What do I need to be financially secure? To be able to have every financial resource I need as an owner, to feel secure and solid. So in turn, what that meant was, if I really focused on the biggest ROI, like the classes that majority of people that I love to train come to, AM and PM, I work with working professionals, right? They come in before work, or they, come after. So that meant that all these times at mid-morning and afternoon that, throw a dart out there, and maybe you'll get someone that, will train at that time, but, you're really having to come up with this whole new person to attract. So we cut all that out, is what I was saying. And we really focused on this idea of the mountain position of saying, hey, how can I staff these roles based on people that I know also are available before work or after a career or profession? So some of my best coaches were doctors or students or career professionals. And we found that it always worked at those times. And some of the hardest times to fill as employees are midday. Who the hell's available midday? People without jobs, and people that maybe are students and can be available at 11, 12 in the afternoon. So when I say lifestyle, I really look at it from a standpoint of how difficult is the business to run, and can it turn out the income of a professional that's comparable to your friends, and have the time to vacation to spend.
When you're talking about midday, you're talking about the member. What member is available to come midday?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah, because everything's based on 2 things, I think. One, if you reverse engineered your life, and you said, hey, these are the time blocks that I want to be available. I want to be at home for dinner and bath and hanging out with my kids. I want to have weekends off. All right. So you remove those things from your personal schedule as an owner or as a coach. And then you continue to keep working backwards and saying, hey, if these positions are the hardest to hire from, or they cost a lot of money to keep someone there in the facility from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and I'm constantly searching for activities for them to do. Well, when you start reversing that stuff out, you start realizing that I need to make my money off my group membership. So therefore, I have to go back to the formula and say, how many people can I fit on the floor? How much does it cost to run the business overall? Divide that number into the total amount of revenue you need to generate to meet all of your income, your profit, and those time schedules, and it spits out your number. So we try to really just simplify it, man, and say, hey, we do group exceptionally well. This is what we do, and it fits into the life that we want to live on the personal level, fits into our work schedule, and then ultimately the money makes sense. And that's where it was born, is saying, hey, we're going to do this on our terms, and it has to work this way if I'm going to do this another decade.
Who is the client? You know, the reason I'm asking, let me elaborate on that question a little bit more. You talk about unit economics in the class, meaning how many people can we fit on the floor? Mm-hmm. And obviously there's going to be, I imagine, I shouldn't say obviously, one coach to that class.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, and most of your clients are CrossFit, yes?
Group fitness. So yeah, CrossFit, the methodology we prefer. Programming plays a big role in the complexity, as you know.
Yeah.
So that is a topic in itself.
Well, so the reason that I'm asking is I imagine, and just please correct me anytime I'm wrong about my assumptions here. The person who is coming to your gym is not really looking for a high level coaching experience as much as they are looking for an enjoyable fitness experience. Is the reason I'm saying that is if we put 20 people in a class with one coach and the class is an hour long, we can probably expect the average person to get 1 to 1.5 minutes of attention from a coach in terms of private attention.
Yeah. That number you brought up is really important, right? So my facility size, if we're using me as an example, is 2,000 square feet. So we only work with 12 or less people at a time. Mm-hmm. So the degree in which you stretch that class out definitely plays a bigger role with who's the ideal client, like what level of training experience they coming in with, and then how complicated are the things that we're teaching them so that they can move safely, right? And still have an effective workout. So all those, yes, as a coach, not even an owner, you need to make sure you're keeping your people safe and that the experience is fun, that it's, a skill-based thing that they're learning and evolving. But my point in that is just saying, hey, when we look at our ideal client where we're focused on, these are the people that we have impact on. These are the people that can afford us. These are the people that our style of training and program is really built to cater to. And we say, hey, this is the outcome they want. So we have determined that we help people stay accountable to fitness, have the support and the guidance they need in staying accountable to fitness, but also what it's going to take to keep this thing a healthy routine so that they get the results that they want. My clients want to lose body fat. My clients want to feel like they are in control of their fitness. So who we go out and look for are people that likely have tried the at-home videos. They've gone to the gyms. They've pumped money into themselves, but always find themselves getting off track. And they need a nudge. They need someone there to hold them accountable, stay consistent, because deep down they identify with, if I had the right program, if I had the right assistance, I would be where I want to be. So that is radically different from the person that hasn't done anything with themselves, right? Save me, help me, get me in this boot camp. I'll just, if I just got started, that's not our client. Likewise,
shouldn't be in a boot camp either.
Yeah. And then on top of that, it's the, big competition focused person. They're not going to do great in our environment because we work with a lot of working professionals just by design around our schedule, right? Our schedule is early before working, and then typically after when you get off schedule. So yeah, it's really catered to the ideal client that we've come to, work with.
Right. So the person coming into your gym has some semblance of a training age. They
Yep.
have it's transitional fitness, meaning they're moving from another type of fitness to your type of fitness because what they did in the last time was ineffective for them, likely because of a lack of accountability and support and an environment in which they felt inspired to do it.
And
So
in
for
addition, like not feeling confident knowing what to do, or not getting the coaching because it was a DVD or, something on DVD. It was online. DVD isn't no more.
people still have
Uh,
them.
people don't do that anymore. But yeah, they just felt like they were missing something. And as you know, that's the whole point of seeking out a new option is we fill a void. And a lot of that is I don't want to hurt myself. I want to know how to get higher levels of fitness, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. So yeah, there's access to free Google, Instagram, you name it, from anyone out there that is fit, but that's still not serving that person in a way that they need to feel like they're getting ahead and getting the result they want. So yeah, we've really identified and niched down on saying, hey, we help a certain type of person. We know where we fit best and who we can't help at the highest level. So we're also not afraid to refer out to. I refer so much to personal training. I don't do personal training as an option. I only have personal training in our facility for our current or existing members. So this is not something we do and really want to do, you could say, for someone coming in.
Who do you refer out for personal training? Who's that client? And I have so many questions to ask you because you said so many things right there that I think encapsulate a lot of the way that things can be done that people perceive as a problem. Like, for example, your 2,000 square feet. Everyone who knows someone who owns a gym is like, I need a bigger space. I want to get into all of that stuff in a minute because I think there's a lot of light to shine there. But who is somebody who you send out for personal training?
Yeah. So we've realized that group class is a vehicle for, like you said, transforming the right client to the outcome, the result that they want. Well, we have to also protect them if they're not the right person. So say they're coming from injury, say they're coming from a certain level of obesity, inactivity. We have to understand that there's a certain person that will excel in group. And there's a pace to class, right? There's an education of feeling confident in your body that you can keep up cohesively with other people. And when you get into trouble in group, when there's a lot of, say, experienced long-term members, and then you invite someone into your floor space that has no experience, and all of a sudden that freaks coaches out, rightfully, because they feel like they have to give all that attention and space to that new person. And then in turn, the other experienced people realize a drop in attention and I'd say value. So a lot of this has to do with selection and qualifying. So those people who fit that mold are really the people that we say, hey, you know what? Based on what you're sharing, I think you'd be great for personal training. I'm going to send you to so-and-so. And it works out wonderfully. They say, thank you for taking the time to get to know me and understand what I need. And then on top of that, the service side in me as a coach, I actually like the idea that I can guide them to the next step, and they take the motivation they brought to me in wanting to fix that problem and now have someone else to call that's actually better in alignment.
I would also say that you're probably doing that person a great service for multiple reasons. One, because you're saying that they're not the person who your system is designed to help best. And that's our rule number one for sales is only sell to people in the market for what you have and always sell to people in the market for what you have. If that person's not in the market for what you have, referring them out is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Second, they now don't have the group option in their mindset anymore, unless if they think that you were wrong about what they need.
Right.
And so that person is going to either not waste money on something that is going to be wrong for them and ultimately likely discourage them from pursuing fitness in the future, but it is going to drive them towards what they actually do need. And I think that's something that more gyms would benefit from doing. And I believe that the reason why you're able to do that and others struggle is because you're not afraid of where the next client is going to come from.
I'd say that's accurate. Yeah, it has a lot to do with the confidence with and control over generating new leads, and then also really understanding who my client that stays the longest, that gives to my community, that really fills me up to coach and my coaches. So we're searching in a way for our 5-year client through the sales process. And if we call them red flags, if there are flags that start to come up in their responses, meaning their responses don't match what our ideal clients would say, or they're not in alignment with how our ideal clients live and experience their lifestyle right now, then that's a sign that we're just not a good fit. And if I don't speak up and I take that client on, and I can speak to experience on this and my clients can too, is if we invite those people in, that's where most of the headaches and the issues arise anyways.
And those headaches manifest in other members leaving.
Oh yeah, big time. So a lot of this is, if you don't fix the problem on the front end of the relationship, it's going to be a problem on the back end. And
sure.
that's how we approach it. Is it may be fearful. There's a lot of growing. You mentioned like the money mindset. I think there's also a confidence in saying, hey, I got to do the right thing here. And if I'm not the right fit for this person, you see that enough and you take on enough of those clients and pass, and you're like, man, this really is not doing them any good. It's not doing me any good to take their money, because at the end of the day, like, the relationship's ending early or they're problematic for everyone. And I can avoid all that just by having this difficult decision and confrontation with them up front, and just being open and honest with my recommendation. So,
well, at risk of making clients sound like dollar signs,
yeah,
I think that you can look at the clients you're working with and figure out, okay, what's the average that I'm getting paid per hour per client? And part of that calculation is, how much time am I spending thinking about this person when I'm not at work? How much time am I spending worrying about what this person's going to do tomorrow when I'm not at work? How much time am I spending answering emails or dealing with other members who are talking about the problems that this person is creating? All of those go into the amount of money that that person is actually paying you for the service that you're providing. And what you'll find, what I have found, is that those people are getting major discounts on your time because they're just demanding more of it than your business is set up to provide. So
yeah.
You mentioned that you're 2,000 square feet. And is that including offices and bathrooms and stuff like that? Or is it 2,000?
Yeah, that's everything. And I have an investment I made in my building. I also am a landlord, so I own the building. We went upstairs with our offices, so saved a lot of room, saved a lot of rent. But offices are upstairs in like a mezzanine kind of thing. And then I'd say floor space, highly efficient at getting 12 people on the floor. And if you drew a box around everybody, this is the game we like to play, 50 to 75 square feet for every client. And then you put those little boxes on your gym floor and you map out up to 20 of them. You know exactly how much square footage you need on your floor. Nothing more, nothing less is how I look at it. Like, why the additional space? That's rent.
It's rent and ego.
Yeah.
I understand the thought of it also, that potentially we could grow into this and fill it with even more members. But I mean, can I ask you what you're charging for membership at your gym?
Yeah. So it's to get into the program is just over $1,000. So we charge $352 a month to work with us for the first 90 days. And then after that, it's $252 a month.
What is different in the first 90 days? Why is it more expensive?
Well, this is innate in every business, and you can attest to this, but acquisition costs. I mean, where were you going to distribute those costs better, in my opinion, than the clients that are coming in? They're riskier. There's a lot of effort being pumped into having contact forms filled out, paying for advertisement, paying to create social posts, text messaging them back and forth, hopping on a 45-minute appointment, and all of that, you haven't charged a single dime. So we're just recouping those costs through the initial coaching program, is what we call it. So that initial program is why that is hyperinflated, or more. It's not even hyperinflated, but it's more because those client acquisition costs. And we've calculated it out about a $300 cost to acquire a client. So that's why it's $100 more a month.
Sure. And is there value to the member that's above the standard group class, or is it, I don't want to call it the wrong thing. Are they getting something that they're not getting in their fourth month and their fifth and on? Or is it just, look, you're a new member. Our policy is it's $352 for the first 3 months, and then it goes down to $252 thereafter.
Yeah, we say, hey, we run one program, 2 memberships, same service.
What does that mean?
Well, one program, we run group program. We have 2 memberships, meaning an initial coaching program and a core coaching program. Once you're done with the first 12 weeks, it's we charge by the week, so it's $63 a week to train with us year round after that. So
now you're in a market that's about $38,000 a month median household income.
Yeah, I think it's more like 26, but regardless, it's lower, you could say, than my initial confidence in moving towards this. That's a big fear of a lot of people, is like, oh, my area won't, pay for that. So I get it, guys. Like,
I want
it's
to hear
scary
about
to do this
because you're proof of exactly what we described. So when we look at what a gym should charge, we do it based on median household income of the demographic, the services that you're offering. And we started with, we have a premium class. So our premium class is what we call the active life class. That's where the first 5 minutes is group heat up. Next 25 is totally custom individual design. The last 30 would be an individualized version of the group stimulus. That's the active life class. And a demographic like yours, that class is about $400 a month. Then they can go back down to the standard group class, which is going to be 55% of what it costs to run the active life class. So if the active life class is 400 in your market, the other class would be, what is that? 220. So we got to raise that rate. We got to come up to you. We got to raise it.
The difference in the 2 models, I think they're similar. And the difference, I would say, is we don't base it on like the market area. We base it on what the business is required to run. Otherwise, my views over the years, I'm like, it's either shut this thing down if it doesn't provide everything it needs from the income and the lifestyle standpoint, or why do it at all?
Well, so I want to add some context because you're right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
That is how we present it to somebody who is not a client, who is saying, where should my prices be? And we say somewhere around here. And then it becomes, what is rent in that demographic? What is the size of your building? Is that the building that you should be in? How many classes do you have per week? Is that the right number of classes to have per week? What does it cost you to acquire? All of the things that go into, now we need to finagle that number to make sure that it all makes sense. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Yep.
What I was really speaking to, though, that I think you can shine some light on here, because it's one thing when I tell the audience it's already familiar and comfortable with me. When I tell them something like, yeah, I get it. And maybe they believe me, maybe they don't. I want them to hear from somebody else who's already doing it. You operate a gym now for 14 years in a market that is earning less than $37,000 a household, and you're charging $252 per month for a group experience, 12-on-1 in a 2,000 square foot space that is not, no disrespect, state of the art. Right. And I say no disrespect because neither one of us values state of the art when it comes to fitness.
Yeah. And that's not who we are, right? Our value is really what we're talking about here. And I think in order to hurdle the confidence part, you have to, I think, go inward of like, what is my service worth? What am I providing that? And what's the outcome? And I don't need state of the art because my clients need guidance. They need support. They need accountability. That they're not going to get that from a machine. And many of them already tried that. Right. And so they clearly know that that is not the thing that they need. So I think the mindset shift is just recognizing, who do you help and what do they want? And you got to be passionate about what it is that you're providing. So if my outcome is to keep people on track year round, to be fit enough to play with kids, to feel confident when they put on their, work clothes, to be able to be active on the weekends, like that's my mission, to keep them fit and balanced and well-rounded. So I need to go find people that desire that. And that's where my confidence comes, where if people come in looking for something different, I have to automatically hear that red flag and say, okay, no matter what I tell this person, they're not going to see it the same way that my ideal clients see it. So therefore, it's an uphill battle trying to even showcase the value I have. So that's the first thing, is just my confidence comes from, I believe that my program will produce this outcome, and the clients that I'm looking for love that outcome, want that outcome, crave it, can't even get it on their own, no matter who they have gone to in the past. So when I find those people through our, lead gen and all the marketing stuff, and we actually come to this point where I have to spit this number out of my mouth, it just works, because they're not looking at the number. In most cases, they're looking at the solution. I've tried this, Chris. I've done this. I've spent the money. I've put the time in. Why am I not where I'm at? I want to be. And I have to be able to present to, well, here are the things that you're likely missing. And if you had those things, you'd be on track. And that's exactly why we built the program for you.
I'm going to make a gander here.
Okay.
You don't give 20% off if their wife joins with them.
No. No, I don't have any discounts, man. I just, I show up, I give, 100% of the value to every single one of the clients. That's what they want. They don't want deals, man. They want the solution. And a lot of these things are fabricated in our own minds as coaches. We're servant mentality. We want to help, we want to give, we want to take the knowledge we acquired. And sometimes it feels like we're helping if we're giving a discount. And the truth is, it's only hurting us in our business. And like, as we get closer to the coaching career conversation here, we need those resources to be able to pump back into our people that pump back into our clients. So if I cut corners on that level, it may in turn create resentment, where I will cut corners for my client. Mm-hmm. And because I got to save, right? I got to pinch pennies. I don't have enough resources. So in the long run, I'm not saying, Sean, I've never done that, because I started at 22 years old and I was learning and growing. So this is something I had to build into me and build into the program if I wanted to get to this point in my career where, I feel like I have everything I need to be happy, to be comfortable and thrive. And guys, the truth is, you can't discount. You have to know your personal worth and believe in it. And I say, when you, Sean, get to this point, as you know, when you can turn away a client, I think you've arrived.
So I'm thinking about how I want to say this. I think that you need to be ready to turn away a client before you show up. You can't, I think if you're waiting to say, all right, we're ready now, I can turn the client away, I've arrived, then you're going to be having a not so fun time until you get there. I've been there too. I remember like the qualifying factors for a member: heartbeat, check; credit card, check. We'll take you. I remember those days. And, they had some fun stuff too. I don't want to pretend that those days weren't fun at all, but a packed gym with people who, it was like herding sheep. I mean, like herding cats. People were everywhere. I don't herd anything, so I actually don't always like to herd anything. But you follow what I'm saying. It's more work than it's worth.
Yeah, and we had this conversation a little bit earlier, where before you even get to the enrollment, meeting and give up time, there's something that in Factory Forge, our model, we call qualifying. Okay, it's one of our systems, and I will not even step foot into a meeting with someone if they're not a qualified prospect. And that's where I think this really fits, is when you can message with someone and build that relationship. And as you know, like 10 years ago, man, your phone would be ringing and you'd have to answer all the calls. Nowadays, people want to text, and it's opened up so much opportunity that people are more willing to share through text their feelings and do it 24/7, because they can work, they can take care of their kids, right? Shit, some of them are even driving and doing this, but my point is they're communicating.
Pull over.
Yeah, pull over first. But when we have that discussion at that level of the we'll call it qualification level, of just saying, hey, what are your goals? What are the things that you want out of a program like ours? And what are the things that you're struggling with on why you're not at that place? Mm-hmm. And if those things are the flags that I'm talking about, saying, hey, that doesn't sound like people we help, those aren't responses of someone who's mentally bought in or ready to take accountability and ownership of it. That's a good point of saying, hey, let's not go down this road of helping this person because they're not ready for us. And that would mean I would give up an hour-long call with someone only to tell them what I'd learned at that moment. So what I'm saying, it's hard to have that confrontation, but you have to identify it, nip it in the butt right there, and they'll thank you for it as you refer them elsewhere. And that's what's worked for us. That's why I say, hey, don't wait for the opportunity to tell them in person. Find that opportunity based on owning who I help best, and do it at the qualifying level before you even put the time in.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you're speaking to there is there's some complexity that I want to give you credit for that also makes this difficult for other people to do, which is why they come work with you. It's why they come work with us.
Right.
You need to know that there's a system by which somebody is going to come in. If you're not sure, are they going to text me first? Are they going to email me? Are they going to call me? Is it going to be a Facebook Messenger? They're just going to walk in. Then you need to have a guard at all fronts, if you will. And so I imagine that you have a system that funnels people to the place that you are most ready to have those conversations. And you're nodding, so that's yes. And I imagine that.
Yeah, there's a system here that I would say, that's your business system. That is your foundation of your company, in how it flows and how, essentially you're going to teach your employees, right? Like, you can argue that you can't be a really great manager until your system is built and able to be communicated with such transparency that someone could repeat it just like you would.
You can't manage something that doesn't exist.
Exactly. So this is the first step before you can even get to building employees that are going to believe in what you're doing, to be able to repeat the process that has gotten you to where you are as an owner operator. And if you're going to have quality, if you're going to have any resemblance of a consistent result for your clients, that means that if you guys are listening out there and you don't feel strong in your lead gen, or you're qualifying of who's a good fit, who's not, of making the offer at the right price, your onboarding as we've gone down, and then your core program, the actual delivery and the service, that's where you start with this. Those things need to be defined and clarified because, like you said, you're the visionary at this level. So you must paint a picture of what that vision is, get it in writing, so that it becomes a process, so that we can gear up for hiring.
Yeah. And you made a good point earlier about how it's easier to communicate on text message. I learned how to ask girls out on AOL Instant Messenger. I don't want to walk up to somebody and be like, hey, we should go to dinner sometime. Or I wasn't asking that. I was 16 years old. We should really go to a movie sometime together. I don't want to do that in person, but if I do that on AM and they're like, no, we shouldn't, I'm like, just kidding. I don't want to do it either.
Yeah. And on top of that, you can have multiple texts going at the same time, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Expand your odds, Sean.
But so believe me, I did. But so when it comes to talking to prospective clients, it's the same. There are chances that you can take that compensate for the lack of confidence or the inability to demonstrate that vulnerability in a personal conversation due to lack of experience, that you can do over text message and initiate conversations in a more meaningful way.
100%. Yep.
So I want to just remind people one more time, Chris Thorndike operates a gym that is 2,000 square feet in a town where the median household income, according to Google, is about $37,000. He charges $352 each month for the first 3 months and $252 each month thereafter. Roundabout, what's your capacity for membership, and where are you typically sitting in terms of volume of members?
Yeah. So capacity is right around 110 people that I have deemed like safe, and the formula works, right? And here's the last bit of this. So what I also believe, Sean, we learned this from real estate, is you're never going to operate at 100% capacity.
Nope.
There are seasonal trends, there are turnover, there's attrition, right? So you actually have to consider how you price your model should be based on a occupational capacity that would happen year round. So my number is 85%.
I was gonna say we go off
Yes.
of 80 to 85.
So that builds in a nice little cushy margin. So as I get up there, you know, my profit margins are going to be way higher as I reach my capacity than what I priced my membership at, because I'm starting to get to that level where 10 more members, this thing's going to spit out somewhere in the range of, you know, owner benefit of $14,000, $15,000 a month.
I want to just detail that a little bit for people. What Chris was just speaking to is when he figures out the numbers, and we do the same thing. If your capacity is 100 people, we want to price it out such that the business works to the formula with 80, 85, because that's probably where you're going to sit at any given time. You might be at 90, 95, and that's great bonus. That's a great bonus on top of everything else, but you're going to have attrition. You're not going to have 100% retention. And there's going to be a month or two where you lose more members than you thought you would. And you're like, oh man, what's this? I got to replace these members. So if you function the business at 80%, anything above that is gravy.
Yep.
So
you can't lose.
Well, you can if you only get it to 60%.
Well, you can't lose. And what I mean by that is at every point of sale, you're making a profit. And that's the difference here is when you price your memberships to profit at the point of sale, you're going to win. And that's why you have to include that marketing and acquisition cost. Here's the state of, Sean, what I see is people aren't making money for 3-4 months, because if they charge that core rate,
people aren't making money, period.
Well, that's accurate. Some are. Factory Forge clients are, but
so we're active live client.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's this notion that we're just not being 100% transparent with what it actually takes to run these companies.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that to the market and say, look, I'm not being greedy. I'm not, doing a disservice to my clients by charging them this. I'm saying, hey, I need all these resources because I need them to create the opportunity to even provide jobs, to create a clean space, to expand. This is essential.
Well, Chris, it's the question of what are you prepared to sacrifice in order to charge a price that you're more comfortable saying in a meeting? That's really the question. Because what you're saying is you're not being greedy. You're not just trying to line your pockets with as much money as you possibly can. And that's true, because if you were, you would just be like, I'll just have a class every hour of the day, throw some schmuck in to coach it, and sell you the same thing. But you don't do that. And we'll get to coaches next. It's the next thing I want to talk to you about. But one of the things, Emily Beers, who interviews you from time to time, interviews me from time to time for Morning Chalk Up, she asked me if there were any business ideas that were burning that I wanted her to write articles about. And I said, how much time do you have? And one of the ideas that I actually sent over to her was, you should, like, whenever you're quoted and I'm quoted in the Chalk Up, I see the responses of people in the comment section on Instagram, in the comments on the posts. I would never pay that. If my business owner raised rates that much, I would quit. Good. Get the fuck out of my gym. You don't value my gym. You value the price that you had access to my gym at. And what I told her is, I said, what would be really valuable for the market to see is if you actually did a deep dive on the costs of operating gyms from different models. So for example, breakdown, we talked to 5 different gyms in 5 different markets that all run the straight up CrossFit model, for example. Their rents were this, and this. They have this many classes on the schedule and pay the coach this much money to run the average class. They run this much money in marketing each month and acquire this many clients each month, which means each client coming in costs them this much money to acquire. They pay this bonus to the person who sold them. This is how many members they lost out the back door that same month. And these are their taxes, and like all of these things. So that when people look at those numbers in Morning Chalk Up, they can start to realize, oh, the gym that's charging me $150 is basically breaking even, and they're not even paying themselves. Now you look in the face of the business owner and you say, if you raise your prices, I'm leaving. And what you're really saying is, if you charge what you need to charge to make a living in this business, I'm leaving. Well, great. Get the fuck out. That's an article that I asked her to write. That was a little soapbox moment for me.
I like that. And here's the thing. The truth is, nobody cares. And the people that are going to hate, if we try to chase those people around, and I get nervous too about all the stuff that I promote and pump out to gym owners. I'm still a practicing gym owner, so my members read this stuff,
Yeah,
right? About increasing rates.
But they know what they
Yeah.
get.
Here's a moment of like validation. One of my members posted that article about raising rates into my private members group. And it was just the coolest moment to see them like celebrate. They were proud of like what work I'm doing. But man, people aren't, saying, Chris, I'm going to leave because of this article, or Chris, I'm going to leave because you took our rates from, $195 to $250. Like, and if they do, that's a pivotal moment in your growth as an owner of saying, I either need to prove my worth to this person and deliver it and back it up, or you guys have simply grown apart and they can no longer see your value. It's no longer as important as it was to them. They'll go down the street.
I love that you discussed the divergence of, there's two ways to go about looking at that. It's not just, okay, they're not the client for you. It's are you actually providing the value necessary to demand the price that you're saying? B, can you communicate the value? C, does the client understand the value and want the value?
Yep.
Then you decide if you should go both ways. We have a client of ours who recently finished our foundations course, which is our financial literacy course for fitness business owners, where we get their offers right, their prices right, all that kind of stuff. And then I told him he should be in a holding pattern where he's in what we call continued mentorship for that part of the program before he goes into the pro path, which is the big ramp up where we build out a bunch of personal training and higher level offers. And the reason he's in the ramp up is we talked about a price raise for him in the beginning of the program, and it was substantial. He needs to double his rates from like $99 to $200 plus. And he was very hesitant. He was hesitant until we had a conversation in which I said, look, if you don't raise your rates, you're break even. And it doesn't matter how many members you add, you're at best a few bucks. You might as well close the gym, operate workouts out of your garage at home for free, and not deal with the hassle of rent, scheduling, cleaning, insurance, and all that other stuff. You can still have the community. You can still have your friends. You just don't need to charge them. You can just go to work, make a living, come home, see your kids, and work out with your friends whenever you want.
You can end the pain and in the discomfort of really worrying about all the things that business owners have to worry about. And so much of it, Sean, in this state of the industry is solvable by digging down the rabbit hole of who do I need to become? What does my program need to become to charge the rates that I need to be successful? And if we could just focus on that, and that's part of my mission at Forge, is we need to empower people to say and communicate their worth. And that has everything to do with believing in it first, because, we've seen programs out there that have helped people increase rates, but if they don't believe that time and time again, not only do the people fall off from a client standpoint because the service can't be backed up, or two, the rates actually never get increased because the owner is in their own way. And that's what's the third one?
They only raise them by a small percentage.
Not enough.
Right. It's the fear of, okay, well, I'm going to raise them by a little bit now, and I'll raise them by a little bit later. It's your members are going to be momentarily annoyed.
Yeah.
Whether you raise by $5 or $100.
I wouldn't even say annoyed too. And I want to make sure people understand, like, they know what the value of the service is. And they, like, I can't tell you how many people emailed me and said, I'm not freaking going anywhere. I think you should have raised them more. And it's just interesting to see that they are so bought into the program that you built. And this will be harder for people that have not increased rates in a long time. So that is a gap in the awareness of where your members started and what you're actually offering and providing, and how that is helping them stay or get on track towards that goal that they have.
It's also hard if you haven't changed what you offer in terms of, and I don't mean like in kind, I mean, in terms of you haven't made it better. Coaches they're still wearing rogue t-shirt uniforms when they coach a class, and their knee sleeves are still around their ankles. it's if you're not actually improving the quality of the product over time, people aren't seeing a gradual increase in the product quality. They're not going to justify an increase in the price either.
Yeah. And I would say the step before even making major overhauls is just focusing on the clarity and the message of what it is that you offer. There's far too many gyms out there doing the work. They're putting in the time, Sean, and a lot of them where they are hustling for their members. But because the absence of seeing their value and putting it into a message and communicating it, they're missing out on these needed resources. And that's what's holding them back. It's not even the work.
Right. Well, Chris, I want to talk about the reason I wanted to have you on, to reiterate, is clients come to us all the time and they ask us, like, do you think Active Life would work for us? And whenever they do that, I ask them a few questions, and I ask them questions about, do they want to create careers for their coaches? Do they want to be able to solve problems that most other fitness businesses create, like injury, like people who are suffering from obesity, like people who've never exercised in the past, like people who feel like they're stuck in the position that they're in no matter what they try to do. People who will require more attention, more support, more professionalism, more guidance. And do they want to start people one-on-one at a higher price point, but a lower emotional barrier? Or do they want to start people at a lower price point, straight into group class, perceptively, if it's that same person, with a higher emotional barrier? Because if somebody is in the categories I just described, jumping into a group class with people who they believe know what they're doing is very, very, very intimidating. If they say, I want to be able to, at least that's been my experience, when they say, I want to be able to do things straight to group, I refer them your way, because I believe you do a great job at helping people with a good, sound, quality business that is going to allow people to go straight into group instead of doing personal training first.
Can I open that for a second? Because this is where I think we really align, and what I appreciate about our shared belief on quality is we will qualify people. There is a system in place that we teach to determine who's saying the right things, has the history and the experience, right? Go through the enrollment, make sure everything checks out. They like the steps that we, go through. The next step is onboarding the client. That is actually an assessment of, does everything check out physically, right? Because to go from a text to a call, you don't know how this person moves. You don't know, the injury they told you about 10 years ago isn't still impacting them. And when they get to this onboarding, they may not make it to the group floor. So that is absolutely kind of the filter of saying, yes, mentally they are motivated. Yes, financially they believe in the value. And then third, physically, are they able to do this work that we're about to put in front of them? And if the answer is no, it's an instant referral out to someone else, or two, unfortunately, this isn't going to be a good fit for you right now. So that's the big thing that we have to be clear as coaches and professionals. We got to make sure we're looking out for them. And sometimes that means turning people away even after they've paid. That hurts, right? Like, that's money.
What do you mean even after they've paid?
Because here's the process. I don't treat anyone as a qualified client. Remember, I mentioned before, they are unqualified prospects through the buying phase of this. So I'm learning what their needs are. We go through the enrollment. We are able to take the payment as a deposit, right? And then as they go through the next step and they have committed verbally to the program, I still need to be the professional and say, I got to make sure you're safe to get on this floor. So until they pass that, I might be refunding their money.
So how do you, okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
But this gets us into the PT first, coaching career, all that kind of stuff that I really want to jam with you on too.
Let's do it.
How do you qualify if somebody is safe to go on the floor without identifying their strengths, weaknesses, movement patterns, motor control, mindset, one-on-one first?
It's very rigid in terms of the workout that they're going to do. It's guided just like a normal class. So it tests push, pull, squat, bend, all that stuff.
Are they showing up to a class? Is that
what? Oh, yeah. They're showing up before going on the group. So this is a separate outside appointment.
So you do group on ramps.
Group on board.
So how do you, okay, now I'm understanding. How do you do that in terms of like getting people to sign up at the same time and show up at the same time and how does that work?
Simple question is, or simple answer is, I have 2 times for your onboarding. Do you want to come in on Tuesday or Saturday at this time?
Okay. And it's one
I
session.
don't give them an option. So, and then guys, this is the thing too, as a professional, no different from a doctor. It's like, oh, I've got work at that time. Oh, I understand. Can you move work? You got any flexibility in your work schedule? Oh yeah. Yeah, I got flexibility. Great. I'll have you down on Tuesday. I'll send the confirmation over. So guys, like this is not something that is uncommon for people to do in this world that has become grossly virtual now. But Sean, I have to say that this 99% of the time, within a 5-day period, they're either coming in on one of those 2 appointments. It's very rare that I'd go outside of a 5-day period.
But now you're speaking to having 9 days a month in which people can do this. And it's one class. Yeah.
One class up to 4 people. So I could enroll up to 30, 16 people in a month.
More than that.
Well, sorry. We do 4. That's 8. Yeah. 32 people. If I had the bandwidth 36. To ever do that.
36.
Well, I got 4 people per session, 2 sessions, 8 times 4 weeks in a month?
Well, it's 4.3 weeks in a month. That's why you bill weekly.
Well, yeah, stretching numbers guy. All right. But you get what I'm pointing. The capacity to enroll that many people is there. Okay. I don't have to give up my schedule because we only do them on 2 days. But yeah, the impact is that this client gets the coach to qualify them and really be honest with, are they ready physically? And 2, from the business standpoint, it works for us because we get to conserve resources, focus them. And thirdly, this is another task that can be delegated to coaches to earn more money and express this coaching skill set of, is this person ready and a good fit right now?
So one of the things that's striking me that I'm not computing on the math here is, I imagine that your attrition rate is fairly good. I imagine you retain most of the members in your gym. Your cap is 110. You have onboarding room for 30, let's call it 34 people. We'll settle the difference.
Per month. Yeah.
Right? How many of those would be small group classes end up being one-on-one because there isn't a need to acquire a large quantity of clients every month?
Yeah. On average, you're going to really determine this number based on how much sales availability that like everything's a pipeline, right? Like how many sales calls determine how many opportunities you have to even send into an onboarding appointment. For me, it's going to be much lower.
Do you not have the class if there's no one in it? Like does a coach not get paid for that class if there is no one in it?
Correct. It's an appointment versus a class, I would say. So it operates like a class because it can be grouped, but it's really an appointment. So if no one's scheduled into that after someone's shift, then it is not an appointment that coach needs to attend as a shift. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. And now when it comes down to building careers for coaches, you mentioned that I believe you mentioned, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, that most of your coaches are part-time.
Yep.
Okay. So how do you help part-time people find the inspiration to become great at what they do? And how do you inspire those part-time? Let's start with that one. And the second question I'll get to when you answer that one.
Yeah. Like qualifying members, you got to qualify your team, right? And I'm a big believer in, if you're really good at what you do, you're going to attract people that are also inspired by your passion, your enthusiasm. And often I've found some of the best people are actually your clients in your program. And they've made that transformation of being, say, starting from the ground up of like, I want to become really fit and healthy, to I am really healthy, this is how I live my life, to essentially, I want to share what I've learned with others. I want to pass this gift on. So there is a certain level of understanding of not only how your system works, but also their proof of that practice. And then ultimately, these are people that we recognize and know to be ready to give, but they're not looking for a career. There's a certain type of interest in this to give back, to really share what they've experienced. So it's a different mindset. And it also comes with a very specific need for the business to start helping the business get to where it needs to go by saying, hey, here's the schedule, here's the impact of this job, and lay out the role. And would you be interested in something like this?
So I want to throw out an objection that I can give you. Like, if this was a sale, if you were selling me that this is a good model to run, one of my objections that I would love for you to help me understand better the reasons why it's not a valid objection are that I believe right now, one of the reasons why the fitness industry is not thought of as essential, as valuable, as consistently reliable is because we don't ask people to dedicate their lives and their careers to operating within it. And so we can't expect consistency of outcomes, high level of service from the industry until we ask people to commit themselves to it. We wouldn't want a doctor who is usually coaching classes and every once in a while they look down somebody's throat. We wouldn't want a police officer, well, maybe a police officer, but we wouldn't want a lawyer, that's for sure, if we go the law, who most of the time is doing construction and every once in a while they throw a suit on and, defend a civil case.
I would say,
go ahead.
I'm not concerned by that. I mean, you are who you want to become. And it's no different from you saying, hey, I've had this gym and this gym, it didn't work out. Now I'm having the opportunity to do this. So it's really, you're as good as the system in place. And if you are skilled with teaching someone to move better and organizing a class, and that is set up as an infrastructure around you, you're going to be a great executor at the model. So it's the model that has the value. It's the system that is really being sold. It's not the person. And I don't mean that in a, negative, people don't have a lot of value. They're going to bring their personality. They're going to bring their, flair to that. But when you really are dialed in and someone can show up, you can't tell the difference, in my opinion, outside the personality side. So we can replicate this at a high degree of efficiency and quality because that there is a model there. There's processes, there's management, there's direct feedback, there's coaching happening on a regular basis to make someone from good to great. And I think it's our mission to take, here's how I looked at my career is, if I got out of the game after 14 years and I didn't pass this business knowledge on, then I would not leave a legacy of everything that I learned. And someone would have to repeat all of my footsteps. And if we approach it like that from a career standpoint and start saying, hey, it took me 10 years to get to here, I'm going to get you there in a year. Mm-hmm. Then if they give me the time, if they give me the effort, they give me the passion, and I really believe that we can turn really good, coaches into great. What's missing is the system and the management and the feedback, because in my opinion, the prices don't provide the resources for someone to sit in class and mentor them, or to provide enough reoccurring coaching to pay them for those meetings to show up. So there's a lot of things that I think are systematically wrong that would get in the way versus me saying, hey, I can't take this person who's motivated, inspired, and changed by, fitness and turn them into someone who can run a great group class. Yeah.
And I agree with you on the money thing there. There isn't enough margin to dedicate time to develop the process and manicure the process.
Yeah.
Where I also agree with you is I've said it before, I'll say it again, just never while he's listening. The best coach that we had in the gym when I owned them was Sean Cleary, who was full-time in the beginning working as a fact checker for a news company, which a fact creator, if you will.
Okay.
And then he became a full-time media person who was working in the gym 5 to 6 classes a week, very part-time, didn't want one-on-one training clients. And I believe he was our best coach. I've also been vocal about the idea that I think that's a travesty. that he was our best coach. I think that the fact that what you're doing right now is working so well is amazing. The fact that you're able to develop professionals who are doing other jobs to come in and treat your gym as if they owned it and the closest to it possible and run great classes at a high level is amazing. The fact that as an industry, we have failed to take people and do that on a full-time level is the travesty, because I believe those same people who are working with you now could not compete with themselves if they were full-time in the gym in regards to the quality of service that they could provide to the client.
I look at it as an evolution. So until our industry is able to take care of the owner and provide income and stability and systematic consistency of the business, we can't evolve into a industry-wide career coach. And this is why I took this, opportunity with you. Is that what I'm saying is we first have to get the majority of our market at a level where their business is outputting enough for them to financially be successful and stable. And that's how I look at this model first. This is a base. Personally, for me, I've done and stretched this thing from 3 full-time employees and whatnot. I'm just in a different phase of my career where this is where I want my business based on choice. And that's the beauty of building these things. There is an evolution of the model that we help instill in people's businesses as well. But you have to ask yourself, how much work, how much effort do you want to pump into someone else? Because as you know, people take opportunities and they can be gone in an instant. And you put a bunch of effort and time and energy into them, and to replace an employee, there's not a lot of great employees lining up, right? Like they say, oh, I'm going to be a coach for a little bit, and then I got to go get a real job. And that pisses me off.
The math on that, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is actually that it's 1.5x that person's last year of annual revenue that they were paid to replace them.
Yeah. So let's open this up then. Let's define this. I was curious of your definition. What is a career?
Yeah, great
for
question.
A coach.
Love it. A career is an occupation that somebody can leave after 25 years on the job and retire from it without ever having to work a side job while they're in it. That's a career. What that means, now we have to back into what does that look like financially? So the metric that we go by is the housing cost that somebody incurs must represent no more than 30% of their overall income for a month. So if you look at the average apartment for rent in the area where your gym is, that you would be happy to live in, not like, hey, I found a slumlord who will rent you the dog's bed for $500 a month. If you find an apartment that you'd be happy to live in, 1 bedroom, what that means is you're looking for somebody for whom a 1-bedroom apartment is an appropriate place to live. And there's nothing wrong with that. It could be a single person. It could be a married couple who doesn't want to have kids. It could be any group of people who fit that category. But if that apartment costs, let's say, $2,000 a month, you know that you need to be ready to pay that person upwards of $6,400 a month if you want their full-time attention and they're paying for the apartment on their own. It doesn't mean you need to pay a salary of $6,400. It means that they need to have the potential to earn $6,400. And either it's happening through salary or their potential exceeds that by at least 50%. Right? So they're weighing risk reward. You're saying, look, I'm not going to pay you $6,400 a month. That's what I think you need to make in order to live in this area. But if you do your job, you can make more than $9,000 a month working less than 35 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's how we determine it.
The fascinating thing, the world has changed so much with identity of like, look at you and I, where we've got these careers, I would say, that have multiple like facets of interests and job roles. And, I identify as a coach, I identify as a gym owner and a consultant. And I really enjoy both. And that's how I've defined the career. And what's interesting, I think, is you're at different life cycles where you need a part-time job. You're at different life cycles where you need to earn more to say, get married, have a kid, everything jumps up in terms of what you need. So you're stretching not just the paycheck, but probably the skill set of what you can do for that business or ROI. Here's some things that came to mind before I was preparing for this, but a little bit of context to add to the career. I think a career is something that you're excited about working on. It gives you a certain level of freedom, like you can take vacations, right? You've got benefits that you really feel allow you to recharge from your work. It's at an income level that allows you to live a comfortable lifestyle or the lifestyle you want. It gives you security and stability. I think that's a big one where you can depend on it. Your job's there. You're able to make plans outside of it because you've got that steady income. There's opportunity for growth, right? Like you are learning, creating, building, you're getting better every day. You can actually use your skill set or develop it for the betterment of the business. And then lastly, I think there's impact. There's something that you believe in that either you are contributing to the big wheel, and then that big company impact is influencing others to do it. So the piece that I think is important as we transition, let's just take my model and say, all right, a lot of gyms out there have part-time coaches. It's that moment where you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. It's that moment where you can be at home with kids or bath time, bedtime, and you feel secure that, hey, the business is running on the front end. Well, now the opportunity arises and said, hey, I really want to make this a full-time career. I'll take more shifts of coaching. That's a front end. So then you get to a point where in the coaching world, maybe that's, 12, 15, 20 hours a week before we see a critical drop off in energy and really you're brain dead, right? Of coaching so much, right? So we'll call it 20 hours there. But predictably, the business already has the classes. It's a fixed overhead. They're going to make 20 hours, $1,600 or whatever a month. That's not enough to live on, is what we're saying. Mm-hmm. Well, then what's the next level of skill set that the business actually can provide that needs? So if you have a well-built system, maybe it's following up with leads, maybe it's taking sales calls, maybe it's onboarding appointments. Okay, all of those have to work in a group model. Well, it's still not going to be enough. So maybe it takes it up to, a pay rate of $2,500. Okay, so now we're at like a level that you might be able to get by post college or working part-time work, but it's anywhere near your 6,000. So you get to a point where you start saying, well, if the business is going to keep this person, this is a common mistake where you promise a salary before the work output is adding up. That's a common mistake. I need this person full time and I'll just build the role as it goes. I think that's a mistake. You need to have the role built out and then the right person fill that. But the point is it may be that you run out of opportunity for growth in the model. And the only thing to do then is to say, all right, well, I need to grow a program or I need to add something else just to provide this work opportunity. And my question is, do you really need to do that?
No.
And what I'm saying in my model, no, I don't want to do that. I've been down that road, the work, the effort, the time, I'm just not there to go back to that. Do people do it? Absolutely.
I think that's a mistake though. I'm with you. I don't think you had a program. So let me go back to 3 of the things that you talked about in the career, and then we'll come to adding the program. Let me just write that down so I don't forget. So, because I forget all the time.
I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah. There are 3 things that you mentioned in the career that I believe fall into what you described as the qualifying phase before you would hire somebody. But I don't think that they're necessary for a career. I think they're necessary for a passionate and enjoyable career, which is the only kind of person that I want working in a business that I own. Someone who's passionate and enjoying their job. They need to enjoy it. They need stability in it, and they need impact. I don't think those things are necessary to form a career. And we're talking semantics because in any business that you own, that I own, we both want those 3 things to be existent. But I know people who make $1 million a year, $500,000 a year in the most unstable jobs you can imagine, right? They're salespeople. And if they have a good sales month, they can make $100,000 that month. If they have a bad sales month, they could make nothing. they still have a career in sales. There are people I know who hate their job. Not in my company that I know of, but there are people who hate their job. I know teachers who hate their job, but they have a pension coming in 7 years. They have to work until they see it. They have health insurance, yada, yada, yada. So they don't enjoy it. And many of them don't enjoy it because they feel like they've stopped making an impact, because they're dealing with parents who don't care or parents who care too much and tell the teacher that it's their job to pass the kid. So while I would love to see those things be in the career as well, I don't think that they're necessary to form one. And when I talk about careers for coaches, I'm only talking about the monetary side of it and the hours worked, because the two things that typically happen to coaches is they don't make enough money per minute. And so they're forced to burn themselves out. And then there's no upward mobility. And so they're out.
Yep.
When you talk about adding a program, full agree, full stop. Do not add a program and turn an intrapreneur into a wannabe entrepreneur who's responsible for filling a program that if they could fill and service and retain on, they would just go open their own fucking gym. I see that all the time. It's not the coach's job to fill your business. It's your job to fill your business, and it's the coach's job to service the people who come into it. That's like that. That's where
let's open that piece up, because I would agree that this is the heart of the issue here in the industry is who's going to carry the acquisition responsibility.
It's owner. It's
so,
owner, but hold on. But when I say it's owner, it doesn't mean owner does it. It means at the end of the day, it comes down to the owner is responsible for, if nothing else, bringing new people into the business. I believe the role of ownership is to create a safe and inspiring workplace. That's number one. After that, they are responsible for making sure the business is coming in, whether that means hiring somebody to do marketing and sales or doing it yourself. You are responsible for bringing people into that business.
So owner takes on the role of client acquisition. Okay.
Not the role of, the responsibility of.
Responsibility. Okay. Of saying, all right, leads coming in, qualified people coming in, we get to the point, sales are either going to go one way, group or personal training, or a combo of whatever we're offering at that moment.
That depends on the model, because there's other things that are available that we might offer and not offer a group or personal training, but I'm listening.
Yeah. So your products. Well, with that being, say, the context of, we know that has to flow for every business. That's not unique to, the gym business. That also hits right into the heart of gym owners need to understand marketing, need to understand qualifying, need to understand proper pricing. And that is where I think the anchor of what our industry needs to focus on. We've gotten really good at coaching tactics and running, classes and qualifying, people at a movement level. Well, now it's time to level up it as an owner. You took on the responsibility often as you started as a coach, and then now it's time to level up the skill set of owner skill set, not just stay in the coach zone. So until that comes up equal to your professional coach and a professional owner, that is, I think, a big issue with when you make a hire and say, hey, we're going to start, in my model, let's just say, all right, my group coach, you're doing 20 hours and the next ascension for you is to take on 10, personal training clients. Well, now I have to have that skill set to go out and find the right clients for that. It's going to add to additional sales time, additional qualifying time. And then if that pipeline's not consistently fed to that coach, what happens is often they don't eat. So then they say, I got to get another job.
So there are some assumptions that you're making there.
Yeah.
That don't fit in the model that we would build.
Let's talk about it then, because I want to break this open in a sense of saying, hey, these things are really happening. That's just one example of someone saying, hey, it's a real one, and it's an issue. So let's put out all the models, at least to understand, say that, hey, If the owner doesn't bring that in, what can happen is you can starve out your additional opportunity you provide for someone because they have no one to coach.
100%. And I think if I'm understanding you correctly, you and I agree that the owner is responsible for learning marketing, learning sales so that they can reliably acquire a new client to the gym. You can't lose the staff member who is the only one who knows how to acquire people for your gym. And then you're like, I guess we all just hope that people don't leave.
Yeah, or even to delegate it. You're not going to know how it works enough to know if it's effective or worth it. You know?
So good. I actually marked that down. 1 hour, 18 minutes and 5 seconds into the recording is when you started talking about that. It's going to be the soundbite that people hear when they see the preview. So we're in agreement. Owners need to learn to market. Owners need to learn how to sell. What you spoke to there is a factor of model type, right? So I have to operate on assumptions that if we're asking an owner to do this, we've taught an owner to do that. Many of the business owners who come into our business and into Active Life come in without the marketing skills and without the sales skills and with a lot of part-time staff. It would be an egregious mistake of us to say, here's what you're going to do. Give them full-time salary and then hope you can fill it. That would be a disastrous mistake.
There's not enough stability in the business. And I mean, the reason why businesses get to salary is they've controlled all the variables to know that the flow of new people coming in is consistent with the outflow of the salary. And what we're saying is, hey, a lot of businesses start based on, a percentage of sales, for lack of a different example. But when we enroll, that person makes money based on it per hour. So the point is, it has to be a part of this process that someone really understands not just how it works, but then who is doing it and what's the best model to keep it flowing.
And this is where we start to look at key performance indicators. And so what we're looking for is if we tell a gym owner, which we do, generally speaking, that their attrition rate should be no greater than 6% on a monthly rolling average. That's like the bottom of acceptable. And 3% would be the goal that we have for them. Anything better than 3%, you are doing an outstanding job retaining clients, or you're tracking it wrong. So we ask the coaches to retain at least 94% of the clients who were assigned to them when they come in. So when I say assigned to them, if what we're talking about right now is a model in which we can offer salary positions and we can create the variable control that you described before, which is our Active Life class model. Because every member who's coming in is coming in and they're buying an individual program designed to start their class each day. They're coming to class 3 days a week, and they're getting one personal touch point a month, which could be go to get a cup of coffee and talk about your goals. It could be a personal training session. It could be anything in between. It's whatever that person needs from that coach in that month. The idea of this is we know exactly what our expenses are per client per month. And we blend it based on a coach is going to get paid this much hourly for a class, this much hourly for a personal training session, this much hourly for the program design time, but we're not paying them hourly. We're just saying this is your monthly salary for doing all of these jobs within your description.
Yeah, it's based on a predictable amount of clients and consistency of them staying. Yeah.
That's correct. Now, it's our job as the gym owner to be able to acquire at least enough members to replace 6% who would leave each month. What that means is we're at worst flat on a month over month. Now, when you're in pre-sale, for example, because we work with clients before they even open their gym, it's important that we get to a critical mass of clients before we can determine how many classes are going to be on the schedule. We're ready to open, how many coaches we need to have. All of these kinds of things change when it's a pre-sale. In that situation, we want the gym owner to have these skills before they open. Right? I wouldn't want a gym owner opening a gym. I think you and I would agree, if we could go back in time, every gym owner would work with one of us before they open, not after they opened and needed things fixed.
Yeah, at a certain point, what you're doing is either promising that, hey, we're going to pay you this, and the leads are coming in, the sales are happening, or if you don't have the cash to pay that person, you've made the promise, that's where it starts getting into a sticky situation where, hey, I need a skill set of marketing and sales, before I'm, say, ready to even hire.
Yes.
And yeah, so you're making the assumption that, hey, if you have those skill sets and you can control the influx of new clients, you need now someone on your team to service them. Because if you slide into that seat, who's going to do the sales?
Correct.
Who's going to do the marketing?
Exactly. Now, on the other side of that, let's take someone who we do start working with, who is just opening up brand, like they're open and they're charging $100 a month, and they have 4 part-time coaches. They have 100 members, and they're doing 40 classes a week. You've seen it.
Yep.
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, look, you don't need 40 classes a week. And we're going to factor into a volume model that makes sense to give them the amount of coverage on a class that they believe their coaches can handle and should handle. That, and then we're going to work them to a price that is profitable on that number of people, provided that there's a reasonable minimum, right? We don't expect profitability on 40 members. And whoa, instead of a big alert that all my speakers are changing. We're going to keep on going. Hope the clear can clean it up if there's a problem. But so what I was saying is, we're going to get to the appropriate price. We're going to assume some attrition of membership when you double your price point. Like, you're going to lose some people. We're going to get the appropriate number of classes on the schedule, and we're going to build profitability into that such that you can be a 20% profit with 75 members, paying yourself a fair and reasonable salary. Right?
Yep. With you.
Now, we're not promoting anybody within the gym to a salary yet, because we don't have the predictable income that you described in order to give them the salary that they need to have. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build their income by teaching them how to market internally and sell internally personal training and higher value services without starting a new program. I don't want them to start like the figure skaters strength and conditioning program out of Factory Forged in Gainesville. I don't think there's a big figure skating market down there, even if they think no one else is doing it, we could corner the market, right? It doesn't make sense. So those coaches ascend themselves through marketing and sales skills within the business, serving the members in ways that the group class is unable to. And then over time, as you described, when we start to get to predictable incomes, when we start to transition memberships to better front-end offers that solve the problem better and cost the member more money, we have more money to pay into the staff. We have a reliable number of people who are coming in. We can potentially salary somebody just to do all of the onboardings and to run 6 classes, 8 classes a week, for example. We can pay somebody a salary that's a stipend that gets bonused to manage all of the attrition. We can start to build out these roles where people are salaried and do have full-time careers.
Yeah, the startup phase is always difficult in businesses where it's like, is the business responsible for the risk? And that's why additional resources are needed. And what, honestly, guys, why profit margins are important for growth. It's like this becomes a new business within the business of saying, hey, we're going to serve more than group class. It's now, we're creating this opportunity to take and ascend the clients into personal training. Well, in this model, like you just mentioned, it's also an expectation that coach is going to put in the work and the time before they actually get a return on that. If they're going to be expected to learn to market, learn to sell internally, because they have to go out and take a brand new skill set, convert that into a sale before they get money.
The truth about that is there's not that much time there to be serviceable at it. There's a lot of time there to get to selling people $5,000, $10,000 at a time, because that's a different level of salesmanship where you really need to be able to sit in some discomfort in those meetings. But for the average coach in the average gym, I promise you, and I believe that you actually believe this as well, if they're interested in helping people through one-on-one personal training, and they genuinely believe that there are people in that gym who the class is not servicing in the way that that person needs to be serviced, so they're aligned that the sale would actually be a benefit to the member. If they're priced properly and go through a few days worth of conversational sales training, they can get themselves to making a few $1,000s extra per month without very much friction or effort.
Yeah. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I love the difference or the separation of personal training And we do something called skill sessions where we only coach our clients to get better at class. It's not an additional program. It's not change in programming. It's literally just skill development of something that will make them better at group.
You're struggling with the kettlebell swing. It's taking you too long to do it. You don't look comfortable. Let's get a skill session and work on the kettlebell swing.
They're all set up on predetermined schedules, and we have QR codes around the gym. We have posters. They can self-register into them. When they're booked on the calendar, coach is informed, person signs up. You're talking about what feels a little bit bigger than what we do. And it turns into the opportunity for ongoing development in a particular problem, right? Whether it's an injury, or do you guys focus on skill? Or,
it could be anything that a member in the gym wants but cannot get from the group. So it could be somebody who joined 6 months ago to lose 20 pounds, hasn't lost one. Why not? What's going on? It could be member is frustrated because their kettlebell swings are still uncomfortable and it's just taking them too long to get good at it. It could be their knee is bothering them. They went to the physical therapist. Physical therapist said this is the best it's going to get, just avoid lifting heavy. But that won't happen until after we've trained the coach on the skills to actually address and work with that problem.
How many days a week is someone doing that? Just out of curious.
Doing what?
Say they ascend up to work with one of the coaches on personal training side. Is that like an additional?
The member?
Yeah. Is that like 2 to 3 times?
1.7 times a week.
Got it. Because the tricky part too is, like, as an owner running a group class, you don't want to cannibalize your programs either, right? Like going from a membership.
We do. And what we're looking for is it's your buy-in to the gym as a coach for the privilege to be able to sell personal training at that price and get paid that price and get developed in this way. So I don't know what your payouts are for personal training or what you recommend for them, because I'm not versed on it. A trainer who's working in a gym that we are working with can earn $60, $70 on a training session. There's still profit in it for the gym. And what we want to see is, in order to earn the ability to do that, that trainer, that coach must still run 8 to 10 classes a week for the gym. And those classes are consistent, and they're blacked out times when they're not allowed to take a training client. It's not like, oh, someone wants to work with me during this time, so I can't coach this class. No, the reason why you're able to earn that kind of revenue on a training session is because you coach these classes. So we do want to cannibalize it in a sense that no one is leaving group for personal training. They're still group members. We price it in such a way that it doesn't make sense to leave group. It's more expensive if you're not a group member. So they're still paying their class membership. And the other side of that is, we don't want coaches running more than 8 to 10 group classes a week. I think that after that, it starts to get a little bit mundane.
Yeah. I think this is something we have a lot of alignment with. The piece in order to get someone to the next level of, if we're really talking about employee pay, right? Say, they're able to, I don't know what your breakdown on group class, but if we really line items, hey, a portion of your salary is $2,000 from group classes. Okay. And then per month. And then you're saying, hey, on top of that, this new opportunity of working with people, one-on-one is going to, if you build up your roster of 10 people and you're doing 1.7 hours, a week, that's going to add up to $4,000. Right. And it's the combination of those two roles that add up to all of your responsibilities, and ultimately your career. Is part of your job is to be group coach. Part of your job is going to take that skill set of coaching and then work one-on-one at a higher rate. Yeah. And the alternative is, we're not saying, hey, add more classes is how you're going to scale to a new, level of salary. You're just going to coach more classes. We're saying, hey, in order to get this additional career like salary, their value on their time has to go up, and they need a more valuable skill set, and people will pay this rate to work one-on-one. So if that becomes the vehicle to earn more, 100% on board with that. It always comes back to the client acquisition side now of that coach needs additional skill sets on, this is the member list. How do I go out and, work that in a way that feels incongruent or congruent with it?
What you just described, Chris, was a coach needs to put out more value in order to earn more money. We agree.
Yeah. 100%, man.
In order for a coach to put out more value, they need to be upskilled. We can't expect somebody to put out more value than they came in able to give unless we teach them how to put out more value.
Yep. And
go ahead.
I was going to say that the up level is also has to be considered in the business. And I think that's where
definitely
it gets sloppy when people add these opportunities in these programs. It's not thought through. We call it put a pencil to it. Like, what is the management time needed to even talk about this program as an option? That's all work, right? And then on top of that, how am I going to get this person trained up? How am I going to get this person evaluated, feedback? How am I going to teach them to market and enroll? And what happens when they stumble? Do you have an opportunity?
What class are we getting rid of to run this thing?
Yeah.
And how angry are you going to be when it doesn't go? And then I have to deal with a staff member who doesn't, I'm with you.
So the personal training rate is not even under a microscope right now, but it needs to be if this is going to be an actual part of building the membership up to a higher level of service.
Yeah.
And for this to be a good deal for the business owner, not just a good deal for the employee.
So I have a question for you, and I have a statement for you. The question is the skill sessions, the QR codes, are those one-on-one?
Yeah.
Okay. And so they can go hit a QR code and it's like, Sammy is available to train you on Thursday at 5:00. If it gets booked, she shows up. If it doesn't get booked, she doesn't show up. What is the rate on something like that?
We do them by the half hour and they're $40.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I asked that selfishly because I want to add this to some of the gyms that we work with.
Yeah.
The other side of the statement I wanted to make.
Yeah.
The only program that we advise gyms to run, excuse me, just take some water too, is a staff development program. And what that means is when you've demonstrated that you are able to help coaches get to a full-time career, market it. Let the market know that you have full-time career coaches who dedicate every hour of their development to doing a better job for your membership. And then offer people who want that for themselves to come and learn how to be a career coach for you. They don't have to work at your gym. They can work at another gym in town. They can work at another gym somewhere else. We teach this to the gyms that we work with, and they will get people who want to learn how to be a coach, who can make a living, to pay them $2,000 for 8 to 10 weeks of education on the job, where they're actually a second coaching class. They're getting criticized. They're getting supported. They're learning sales. They're learning marketing within the gym. And then they can go be a personal trainer at the commercial gym down the block and be successful. And now these gyms can get 8 to 10 people paying $2,000 for 8 to 10 weeks, $20,000, and you add that up, and they hire the best.
Do you find that to be a distraction? That's like creating another income stream and program for the owner to manage.
It would be a distraction if everything else wasn't clicking already.
Yeah.
So it's like you say, we wouldn't do that until we had proven it consistently within the gym, and we knew how to acquire not only members, but these coaches to come and work. There's
a piece here that I really want people to understand is that there is an order of operations of growth that
don't do this right away.
In my reflection as an owner after all these years, there's certain the things that eat at me, I wish I would have done in a certain order, and they probably would have been more successful. Mm-hmm. But when done prematurely, like hiring someone and providing a salary, and that client list not there,
right,
you're going to burn through payroll way faster as you learn and you set up things before it's actually transactionally creating room for this person on the team. Mm-hmm. And those are some of the mistakes that I've made with employees. And when I think of, my model where I focus on group, brick and mortar gyms only, we really try to dive into the efficiency and the profitability and like just the joy of that's how we get fired up is helping people in group. And then when it comes time to say, well, when is it when am I ready to start another profit stream? Okay, not income stream. If I look at it from a profit standpoint and say, hey, the next level up based on the current level of resources I have, I think personal training is a really good model to stack from a opportunity to earn for the business as well as for the individual, because they already have the coaching skill set, they already have the purpose and the passion like we talked about, and it's going to be determined based on that person's ability to put in the effort and the work, and it doesn't stretch the owner bandwidth who can stay focused on marketing and sales. So I love that level of scale up, but there are a lot of key moving parts that need to be talked
Definitely.
about and distributed in the industry. But I do like this as a model to take the already existing skill that you have and start to put it into a vehicle that is quite fast. You're not having to go learn, how to coach people on nutrition or kids fitness or, sell supplements. It's like you're in your zone of coaching. You're just medium of delivering it is different.
100% right. And the truth is, it takes commitment. You shouldn't be doing personal training if you don't really want to be in the game. Because just like a gym, you lose X number of members every month, not as a factor of you're not doing a good job. It's just the nature of the beast. You say you want to keep a member for 5 years, you're open 14. That means your gym has turned over 3 times.
Yeah.
If you did a great job. But so what I want people to hear there is it's about learning a skill set and applying it in a different way. You don't have to, like many of the coaches out there already know enough to help people more deeply than they can in a group class. And they can learn how to organize their schedule, how to make the sale, how to keep the client happy and referring their friends. It's not a far throw for people. This is why we're so confident when we sell things to coaches and gym owners, because it's like when you back into the math on how to make the money back of what we cost, it's like, there are 7 levers, pull one of them and you're doing it. And when it comes to personal training, I want to go back and close this thing out with, you're setting the bar at 252 in a market of 37K a month, a year household income. When it comes to personal training, the gyms that we're working with, it's not uncommon for them to do 50%, 50% of the volume of membership that they have in the gym in personal training sessions weekly. So if a gym has 200 members, it's not uncommon for them to do 100 paid personal training sessions a week at an average rate of about $85 a session across all of the markets that we work in, which range from, New Mexico to LA in terms of price points and location. Coaches and gyms can make a full-time living with personal training, and the gym owners can make a lot of money on it and make it a marketing tool to acquire members too.
Yeah. We should do a seminar, man. I love the ability to say, hey, there's an opportunity with the clients that I serve to stack on top of my expectation is gym owners in the group field need to be making a minimum of 10 grand as a take home owner benefit.
Before
and
tax?
Then after tax. And the reason for that, okay, is that we wear a lot of hats. We put a lot of, things in play that it requires us to have so many skill sets. And that stretches so far behind, I guess, past just the coaching role, right? Like everyone really has to be a great marketing mind, a great sales mind, and servicer. So that needs to be rewarded with an income to match that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we really start thinking about the next level, once you've gotten to your group business to produce that, well, then it becomes looking at all the things that have ROI, return on the investment. So out of all the time, the energy, the effort, based on what team member I have, internally, or based on how much training I need to do, personal training is a great option to grow beyond. And the thing that I really like what you said is a lot of this is servicing internal already existing members. So the trust is there, that you already have the list of potential people. So it's not even like cold lead generation where there's a lot of work to educate and build value or trust. So this is a great play for people. The piece that for all my group owners, it's like my expectation for the clients I coach is I really want them to build the base of their business. If you got into group training for that to be your primary or core business, I would look at this model as a profit stream to expand that and also provide the career level. So I think it fits really nicely. But if you are trapped in between where you're barely making money, $2,000 a month, and you got 3-4 different programs, it's time to reevaluate and get your base of your business built.
I can agree with all of that.
Agree.
We can talk about the seminar off air. I'm certainly intrigued by that. Chris, where can people find you?
Go to factoryforge.com and check us out. You know, our goal, like I said, we want to make sure owners are bringing in 5K in personal income, another 5 in profit. And really my goal here is to take group fitness, brick and mortar business owners, make their businesses simple, profitable, and easy to run. And we do that through our lifestyle gym framework. So factoryforge.com, check us out.
And for those of you listening, I promise I certainly wouldn't have Chris on the show if I didn't find value in what he was doing. And I most definitely would not be telling people who come to us who I don't believe are the right fit to go check him out if I didn't think he could do the job. Chris, thank you for joining us today. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Enjoyed the convo. Thank you.